Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of CaCo Talks. Tonight we're doing a special 1107 in Dark episode where we are discussing some of our gospel favorites. Let's get into it. Hey everybody, welcome to another 1107 in Dark episode. Tonight we got a special 1107 in Dark. We're doing a totally gospel playlist. We're going to be listening to some of our favorite gospel songs, traditional and contemporary, and discussing them and kind of discussing the genre for this episode. So, you ready? You excited about this? We love gospel music.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited. I do listen, I hate to say all the time, but I do listen to it quite frequently. So,
Yeah. It's as I've gotten older, it's definitely a genre I listen to a lot more
yeah.
than when I was younger. When I was younger, it was like mom was listening to it, so it was always like mom's music,
Mhm.
which felt
Yeah.
like uncool. But now
Yeah,
I
yeah.
listen to it and I'm like, no, this is like groovy. Like
This
they
was the stuff.
yeah. It kind of gets drilled into your head as a kid just because like when you grow up in churchy environments as like we sort of did, it's
Mhm.
just always there. So it doesn't feel like interesting or fun to listen to at the time. But as you get older, you're like, no, this is good music. I know why our parents were into it.
Facts.
So, but yeah, before we get started, we should do just a brief little um I guess not so much history, but just kind of like what is gospel music? Well, it's pretty obvious, right? Like gospel music
Mhm.
is religious music. But we're specifically talking about Black gospel music, which definitely has roots in kind of obviously Anglican roots, which is like European, like, Christian roots in the Anglican church. But so a lot of the hymns that were in the Anglican church were transformed into um, hymns that would eventually be used in like Black churches, right? So like Amazing Grace and Rock of Ages. Um, and there's like certain sayings that come up frequently, like or really more metaphors than anything, like Jesus is a rock, right? Like the Lord is a rock kind of thing, like kind of like this almighty power. All those kinds of references come from the like original hymns that we actually see in contemporary gospel music today. So nice to know. Obviously, as you get into like the 19th century and with things like like chattel slavery, obviously that's when you have more like hymns and gospel coming up, specifically like songs that were being created by enslaved people at the time, um, because they were allowed to go to church. Sometimes they would go to white churches. Did you know that? Like there were like
I
sections
didn't know that.
for the slaves, like at white churches. Um,
Hmm.
so like that's where like a lot of African Americans ended up being like Methodist or Episcopal or whatever,
Hmm.
because they were like sectioned off in a white church. So
Got it.
um yeah, and then but obviously with like for like plantation churches, when they were allowed to preach, like they would make up their own, you know, rhythms and songs for that,
Mhm.
like those services as well. Which I think is really probably the backbone of what we call gospel. That kind of like R&B root, like uh that like upbeat type feel to gospel. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Versus the like strict kind of like hymn, more like classical type music that is probably more associated with white churches. I could be wrong, but that's how I imagine the differentiation started. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
With what we think of as like traditional gospel. And then obviously you add like country music. Once Black Americans became freed, gospel eventually became like the prevailing style of music at the time throughout the 1870s to the 1920s. Um, so there ended up being more. I guess I would call that probably more like traditional. What we think of traditional gospel songs coming out then.
Mhm.
Then
Hmm.
obviously Black churches like have like, you know, I don't know what the word is, but like morphed, I guess, gospel into more of like a rhythmic style, I would say, like 1920s and 30s. Then you have bands coming up like gospel groups like the Five Blind Boys of Mississippi, Sister Rosetta Thorpe, if you ever heard of her, and like Arizona Drains. So like traveling groups of people, performing as like a specific, like, as artists, I guess you could say,
Mm-hmm.
going around like black churches. And then also like kind of that idea, that style of rock and roll coming out of that, because like the music's being sped up, it's becoming more like popular and more rhythmic, versus kind of the like hymn traditional style.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then they start publishing gospel music, so it starts being sold. So it becomes like an industry. So people are buying actual gospel records. And then you get people like Mahalia Jackson, who we all know. She's like a gospel legend. Um, and I'm trying to think who else would have been really popular. I just feel like everybody knows her. But that, and then they say the golden age of gospel is around the 19, like after World War II. Oh, sorry,
Mm-hmm.
during World War II, so like late 40s, probably going into the 50s. And then you have gospel artists like pretty much everywhere in the US, so or major cities like New York, Chicago, Philadelphia, LA. And you got major gospel stars like Clara Ward, Roberta Martin, Pilgrim Travelers, Soul Stirs, Reverend James Cleveland. I think I've heard of James Cleveland, but I don't know about the other artist. Um, and then 50s and 60s, more crossover artists, so like Aretha Franklin coming. I think that's really when soul and R&B was probably really married to the gospel sound, when they started putting like more, uh, I guess, secular sounds in with gospel. So like Aretha Franklin, Sam Cooke, they started learning, and they learned how to sing in the gospel church. So their sound was secular, but they would also sing gospel music. So it's like rooted. It's their sound was rooted in gospel and became more mainstream.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get into like the 70s, 80s, 90s, you get into artists like Kirk Franklin, um, Yolanda Adams, who go between gospel and secular music. Um, and then you get people like Clark Sisters, Andre Crouch, Edwin Hawkins, and honestly, the contemporary gospel artists that we know today. And they don't have it on this little blurb here, but I would say gospel music has even morphed into like hip hop too now. So like even younger artists are putting out more like hip hop type sounds. Like I'm trying to think of one. All I can think is like the Walls group. They have kind of a hip hop type sound,
Mm-hmm.
or that song "Won't He Do It" by Corinne Hawkins. Or I think
Mm-hmm.
about like Lecrae. I don't know if you know who that is, but he was like a hip hop
Yeah.
Christian artist. Um, so yeah, it's definitely more. The gospel has always been sort of fluid, and obviously spiritual. So I don't think gospel's ever going away just because it has that religious tie, but it's the sound of it has morphed into what we think of today as like contemporary
Mm-hmm.
gospel, as well as like traditional hymns mixed in there. Um, and they all have very similar through lines. It's just like the sound has changed. So, and I mean, obviously lyrics, and sometimes people, like we were saying with Kirk Franklin and Yolanda Adams, they go back and forth between secular music and gospel music, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah. Any little points you wanted to add in there? I just thought it would be good to get an overview of gospel for people who may not know. Although I'd imagine if you listen to this, then like you probably know, most people know what gospel means. At least they know in the religious context what it means, but they might not know so much of like how the sound has morphed. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I think that's a good overview.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we do have a playlist that's on our Spotify that we put together. It's mostly, I would say, contemporary urban gospel. Caitlin likes traditional gospel. Not necessarily a big fan of that, but that's what I would mostly say it is. And you can find it on our Spotify with our account 1107 and Dark of CaCo Talks. It's going to be linked in the description. It's a lot of good gospel songs on there. It's like all the heavy hitters, Kirk Franklin, Londa Adams, Clark Sisters, some Aretha Franklin, Mary Mary. Who else is on there?
Fred Hammond
For
is on
Hammond.
there. A
Smokey
lot of
Local.
Yolanda Adams.
Yeah. I have Destiny's Child on there too.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Yeah. And
Yeah, I'd say those are like your you said Mary Mary?
yeah. There's also like some like artists who only have one or two songs on there. I think Whitney Houston's even on there.
Yeah, I saw Whitney.
And actually, speaking of Whitney Houston, that's like another good example of how very popular artists, their influence really starts in church. A lot of people learn to sing in church, especially I know like R&B, soul people. They start singing in church, and then they branch out into a secular career with like the singing skills that they basically learned in church, singing gospel music, like religious music.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah, that's very common in like African American communities.
yeah. I would say if you're a black singer, there's a good chance you started singing in church somehow, some way.
Yeah.
Even like jazz
I
artists
think
and
that.
different people, yeah, there's like a good chance you started singing somehow in church. Even I was even listening to Coco Jones, who's very new. She was talking about starting out singing gospel music. Yeah, so I would venture to say that most of it is a lot of R&B can be interchange with like gospel, which is why I think contemporary gospel is so appealing to me, is because I don't feel like I'm listening to gospel sometimes. Like the lyrics and the message is inspirational and religious and spiritual and about Jesus, but that's really it. The sound is not so, it's not a distant sound or a sound that's not really pleasing. It's a sound that I always grew up with, whether I was listening to gospel or secular music. So
Yeah.
So yeah. Anything else you want to say just before we get into the actual playlist?
Nope. Nothing to add.
All right. Well, so first up on our playlist that we're going to be listening to is by who I think would be probably considered like the most from like the 70s on, the like a cornerstone of contemporary gospel is the Clark sisters. Just about everybody who listens to gospel knows the Clark sisters. Okay, and anybody who was forced to listen to gospel probably knows the Clark sisters. So one of my favorite songs from them is My Living in Vain. Yeah, we're gonna listen to that and comment on it. I love this song. I think it's such a, not only is it inspirational, but it's sort of existential too. And we'll get into it in a second, but you ready to press play?
Yep.
All right, let's go. Oh no, I got an advertisement. Okay, now we're listening to it. You listening?
Mm-hmm.
Have you heard this before?
No, I don't know much about the Clark sisters.
You don't listen to Clark sisters like at all?
No. I know like maybe one or two songs.
Hmm.
I'm not gonna lie, this is not my cup of tea.
You haven't gotten to the good stuff yet.
Oh, okay.
Wait till the breakdown comes. This is like some hard hitting questions. You don't think so? Am I wasting my time? Have I let my light
I mean,
shine?
yeah,
It's
but I
like,
don't consider that gospel.
it's because like they're like asking like, is my living in vain? What am I really living for?
I mean, I get the question, but is that like gospel? That's just like secular to me.
I mean,
You
I
don't
guess
think that's secular?
it kind of is. That's why people like the Clark sisters, because they were kind of a pioneer of making like inspirational music, not just straight
Mm.
gospel talking about Jesus
Yeah,
only,
that's fair.
you know? Because
Yeah,
they're taking what would be something you kind of like a prayer, like what you would ask God, like, what am I really here for? What am I here to do? And then they
true.
put it into a song, like, is my living in vain? What am I really, am I fulfilling the destiny you have for me?
Uh-huh.
You know?
Yeah, I guess.
And also, this
It's
is a
definitely
lot.
not gospel I would listen to though. I'm not gonna cap.
I love it. My favorite part is when they're like asking all these questions and they're like, no, of course not. It's so self-affirming. You don't like
You
it?
know, the thing is, like, this is like my type of music, but no,
I love it. It's like one of my favorite Clark Sister songs. When I'm like having a down moment, this one. Also, they're just like a sister band as well. So
what do you say?
they're also a sister band. So
So they're all sisters.
yeah,
Hmm.
that's what I call the Clark sisters. Their mom was the one who was pushing them to do
Their
it.
mom's what?
Their mom was pushing them to do it.
Hmm. Wait, isn't this is one of them is the Kelly Clark?
Yes, Karen Clark Sheard, who has a career, like a solo career. And then
No,
Dorinda
no, no.
Clark.
Like, okay, Dorinda. I know who Dorinda is because they had that meme of her on TikTok.
There's a meme of Dorinda?
I thought so. But she like did some little like yodel thing, and everybody was like doing it on TikTok for a while.
Oh, I didn't even know that. Probably. And then there's like, it's like Dorinda, Karen, Twinkie, who's like, Twinkie is the one who like writes all the music basically and plays the organ. And then there's Jackie. I think it's Jackie. And then they had another sister who like doesn't associate with the family anymore.
Oh, why?
I don't know. I think she just like was like over the whole like religious thing.
I feel her. Same.
Like, she was like she made different life choices than them because
Got
they're
it.
like
So was she in the
they're
group at
religious.
one point and just kind of got out of it?
Yeah, like
Mm.
have you seen the Clark Sisters movie on Lifetime?
No.
Well, they were talking. They basically she left because I think she had gotten pregnant before like getting married and everything. She was like, "I'm gonna live my life
Mm,
and like I don't want to be like touring all the time." And so group differences.
got it.
And so now, I think to this day they still have beef. Like they still don't talk to each other.
No, sometimes you gotta cut it off.
And I get that. I can understand. Like I'm not gonna lie. I think it's great they have the gift of song, but I don't know if I would want to stick solely in a gospel genre. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, I couldn't do that. I would have to do secular.
Yeah, I think I would
I
have to
feel like
do.
it puts you in like a bubble slightly.
Yeah, it does. I mean, I could see maybe branching out. I don't know if I go so far as being like a Megan Thee Stallion type, but I would definitely be in like soul R&B range. I think
Yeah, I think I would pull more of like Yolanda Adams kind of thing. She's very like
she
on
goes in
both.
between. Yeah,
Yeah, she's on like both trains. And her music is very like You can like mix them.
yeah, that's true. Okay, you finished the song.
Yeah,
Okay, so what are your thoughts?
I'm not gonna lie, it was a lot going on for me, but I think like my style of music is very like I'm very much like I like indie, like bluegrass kind of music. So yeah,
I hear that.
I think it
No,
makes
it's
sense of
definitely.
like
Go ahead.
I was gonna say it just makes sense for it to be a lot.
Yeah, I also think this one is very like praise and worship, kind of like something you would hear if you
Mhm.
live that you would hear in church.
Yeah,
Um,
I think that's like a live show gospel type of thing.
yeah, and I think that's a lot of the Clark Sisters style is like they record as if they were performing for an actual church audience. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? And
Yeah, that was
so,
like the thing back in the day.
yeah, so they go very much off book. It's very fluid. It's very, the riffs and runs are gonna go for however long they feel the spirit moving. You know what I mean? And
Mhm.
so I think that can make it feel very non-structured. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which is what a lot of gospel, or at least live performances, most gospel performances are very non-structured. Very
Very true.
non-structured. Actually, I would say anti-structured. It's where the spirit leads you is where you're gonna go. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oof, yes.
Yeah.
And
So,
schedule grace breaks. Don't forget that.
yes, absolutely. But then again, some people really, really embrace that, like, because you can just go. And I think
True.
that's what helps people who start with gospel, and
Mhm.
train their voice for gospel. It helps you be able to, when you perform more structured things, it's a lot easier to perform structure because you already are
True.
so used to like, this can go this way, that way, whatever. You got to be prepared to move. It's like freestyle. You got to be prepared at any moment. So structure
Yeah.
feels almost
I
like,
feel like that's what they were doing, but it's just like a bunch of runs, and it's like, ugh.
yeah.
So
It definitely can feel like I said, just unstructured, I think. And that's why I think some people like associate the genre with being very just like spirit driven, you know?
yeah, that's fair.
So, but yeah, okay, the next song is another of mine called The Battle is the Lord's by Yolanda Adams. This is
Okay.
from her Save the World album. So, you ready to listen to it?
Mhm.
Okay.
And again, we'll say our playlist is on Spotify. Make sure to
Yes.
check that out, and the link will also be in the description. Obviously, the Spotify is going to have an extended playlist, but those songs,
Yeah.
all of these songs, will be in that playlist.
Yeah. This is like one of my favorite gospel songs.
I feel like I've
Are
heard
you
this
listening?
before.
You probably have. I consider Yolanda Adams like the Whitney Houston of gospel.
Hmm.
What do you think?
Hmm.
Like, obviously, Whitney Houston does more like ballads and stuff, and Whitney Houston can sing gospel too. But I just think specifically in the gospel genre, that's like the space she took up in that industry. I think
Yeah.
it's like classy, like high to mid mezzo soprano, like sounding voice, can do the riffs and runs, strong, powerful, elegant voice. You know what I mean?
Hmm. Yeah, her voice is very like clean and crisp.
And clean and crisp, yeah,
You know what
and
I
it's
mean?
very like she pronounces every word, and it's very like angelic,
Yeah,
like in my opinion, which is
I can see
sort of
that.
what
It
Whitney
does.
Houston's
I
style
like
was.
them listening to it. It can give Whitney Houston for sure.
Yeah, like I could see Whitney
Hmm.
Houston doing this and like doing a really great job with this.
Yeah, same.
She doesn't have. It's definitely different than the Clark sisters who have that kind of gritty, earthy.
Hmm.
I want to say less trained style voice, like more less clean. Like the Clark sisters, you're hearing every kind of crack and creak, and you
Yeah,
can kind of tell that their voices are like they've gotten good because
more
they've just
gritty.
done it so much over their lives. Yeah,
Yeah.
But like Yolanda Adams is very almost trained. I don't know if she's really trained, but like it just comes out like that. Plus, I do like the lyrics. The battle is not yours; it's the Lord's. So it just kind of reminds you, like, to surrender your problems to the Lord, the universe, whatever you believe in or
Hmm.
don't believe
Yeah.
in, and just says it's not yours; it's the Lord's to take on.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah, that's a good. I think it's a good. If you're, very spiritual like that.
well, it's just a good reminder too. Like, I wouldn't even consider myself really religious, but I
Mhm.
like listening to her music because it's like it reminds you that whatever you're going through, whatever issue you're having right now, you can
You
surrender
can
it.
get through it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And that's good whether you believe in Jesus or not. You got to let stuff go, you know?
for sure. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, certain things you just not worth your fight.
Yeah. And I also think too, like obviously she's referring to the higher power as Jesus, but it allows people, I think, who might not be Christians to still relate to it. Like I feel like her
Mhm.
lyrical content can go either way. She's really more just like encouraging music, I would say. You know?
Yeah. Mhm.
Plus I like that they have that chorus or the choir coming in the background. Like
Mhm.
at the end, because she was solo to begin with, and then like, you got the choir now. I think that makes it more like this kind of like praise unto the Lord, you know?
True. This one's more like what you would listen to, I feel like, in, like, actual church,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
versus, like, that consort feel, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's one of my favorite gospel songs. I love that one. It's just
I like it.
encouraging.
Okay, that was good.
Yeah. And I think the
That was
music
good.
is it's kind of a slower melody, but it makes you
Yeah,
think about the actual lyrics, you know?
yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay, that one I approve of. That one was decent.
Yes. I like that one a lot. Okay. So the next song we got, this is another live recording from Aretha Franklin. It's called Mary, Don't You Weep. This one's kind of a longer one, so we don't have to listen to the whole thing, but I
Okay.
I do like this one. This is definitely like raw Aretha Franklin singing in church. So, have you ever heard this recording?
I don't think so.
I only heard it because I was watching. I think it was in Klansman, the movie. It came out a couple years ago.
Hmm.
Um, yeah. So you can hear if you hear it, you hear like the clapping and everything. So they recorded this, I think, while she was like just singing at a church somewhere in the 70s. I think you're gonna like this one, Caitlin, because you like that more like Jubilee choir sound.
Oh, girl, I love me a good Jubilee choir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. You hear the
That is my
like
one fun fact, Caitlin's one aspiration in life is to be on the Jubilee choir. And I am not really a church goer or anything like that, but that is the one thing I look forward to doing in my life, being on the Jubilee choir and being the head of the choir so I can walk out there, my slow walk, and make, all the little noises I want to make, good or bad, and then slowly walk my way back. Pretty excited about it.
we'll have to
The
come
oddest
to church.
aspiration, but it is one of mine. And I've said that consistently for a very long time.
I honestly can see you doing it.
I honestly would. If I could do it now, I know there's an age requirement. If I could do it now, I would. Period.
An age requirement.
I'm not old enough, so
You
I
got a
don't want to
long
make
way
a
to
mockery
go.
of myself and the elderly on the Jubilee Choir. But I promise you that when the day comes, everybody's gonna know about it. Period.
If you try to join the Jubilee choir, they'd be like, "Get out of here!
All right? They were like, "How
You
old are
got
you?"
another 40 years,
Age
please."
ain't nothing but a number, okay, baby. All right, please. I'm old in spirit.
Bro, you
Period.
got to be at least like 60 to be on the Jubilee choir.
Well, 40 more years ago, I'm counting down. I'm ready. The day they accept me, I'm gonna be. Well,
With
first
your
of all, I gotta
goals.
find a church. Maybe I'll just have a Jubilee choir that just like
Just
harmonizes
travels
on YouTube or
around.
something. Yeah, or does like
Yes.
holograms by then,
Yeah, seriously. All right. So you heard the intro to the song. I like how this song like gradually grows into a crescendo. Like, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
it starts out with that like the percussion and then like the organ and then the chorus comes in and then Aretha Franklin and it just builds into this like, you know, round sound. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So how you like the
Yeah, this
song?
is probably more of my vibe.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a hymn,
Yeah.
which I can appreciate. I love me a good hymn too. Fun fact. I
Hmm.
like those old like Courtney calls them like she says I like slave music, but
It
I'm
probably
here
is.
for it. So
I think Mary Don't You Weep is based on him.
oh, is it?
It
I can see
is.
that. I always love when they like come into that intro and they're like clapping. It's like you already know it's about to be good.
Have
Period.
you gotten to the part where they start really clapping? Like the audience starts clapping? You might.
No, I don't think I've gotten there.
Okay. Wait till you get there, because that part is really, that's the uplifting part.
Got it.
Also, Aretha Franklin's vocals here are really nice.
Yeah,
You
no,
can
she's
definitely tell
good.
this is where
So,
she comes from. Like it just feels so natural for her voice, you know?
true.
Because we're so used to hearing her sing like pop, songs.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't realize out in LA there was such a big community of like black of like gospel music and all of that. Like
Was
people were
it?
really, yeah, like on the West Coast, people were like famous albums I were recorded on the West Coast. I think this album was recorded on the West Coast. This live album she
Well,
did.
I mean, that's where the music industry like predominantly was, though. So,
Yeah, but I wouldn't imagine that gospel would be as big as it was. Like the history of it, you know what I mean?
mm-hmm.
I would say like New York or like Chicago or something.
You think so?
Or even like a southern city like Atlanta or something.
I would think like LA, because like you had the West Coast music, you had East Coast music, and those were your main like points. Atlanta, New York, East Coast, West Coast with California.
Yeah, you're right. You hear the part where they're clapping now?
Yeah,
Yeah. I like how they like it incorporates the audience in the sound, you know?
yeah.
That's a big part
That
of
was like
gospel
big
music.
then.
What'd you say?
That was like big back in the day. It was
Yeah.
like a complete like everybody participated.
In the sound and the music making, yeah. I think
Mm-hmm.
that's another thing about gospel too, is like you said, everybody participates in the music making.
Yeah,
It's so fluid. It's really hard to explain to people who really haven't been in a black church environment, to be honest.
fact. You gotta go.
Yeah, because the church is interactive. There's
Mm-hmm.
like the pulpit is there, but it's like a small barrier.
Yeah, it
You know,
is.
like
Yeah.
people are yelling to the pastor's yelling back at the people, and people are
Mm-hmm.
getting up and dancing, people are running, it's like this whole spiritual experience. That's all I can really say it is.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, you definitely have to like. There's like no words that can.
really pin it down to what it is. It's
Yeah, you
when
gotta like
you know what the
experience
culture is,
it.
you know what the culture is. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Good stuff though. So go if you
Yeah,
can.
definitely. But don't go if you're only going to try to like experience the culture. Like go
You know,
for real.
no, you gotta like go with an open mind, heart, spirit, and be looking for that spiritual experience because, or you're gonna be like, this is weird.
Yeah,
um. So
yeah. I would say black church is very fluid. Um, and there's less. I mean, there is a hierarchy to it, but I think there's less hierarchy when it comes down to a sermon. You know what I mean? Being preached. But yeah, okay. I'm gonna end the song there just because it is kind of long.
yeah,
Um,
okay,
but
that's a
yeah,
good one. I like that one. That was good.
yeah. That's something I could definitely see you adding to the playlist for sure.
Yeah.
Uh,
Mm-hmm. For sure.
I love that specific recording of it. All right. Okay. So the next song is another Clark Sisters overdose of the Holy Ghost, which
Oh goodness.
this is a good one. All right. I got a plan. Oh, the like it's like so funky. You hear that?
Yeah, that's kind of cool.
And then the lead is
It
Dorinda.
gives me like dun 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 dun
Dun, dun,
dun
dun, dun, dun,
dun.
dun, dun, dun.
What's that song called? Something got the funk. You know what I mean?
Yes, but the thing is, people did. Twinkie, who was writing the songs and composing the music and all of that,
Uh-huh.
she was taking like popular songs at the time and morphing them for gospel music. And this was obviously in the
Mm,
70s. So that's why so much of
got
this
it.
album, this is like one of their first albums that has a very funky beat.
Huh. It makes sense.
Yeah. When I discovered this song, I was like, oh my God, not a gospel song being like funk.
Right
Overdose
up your alley.
of the Holy Ghost. I would listen to this even if it wasn't gospel. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you definitely would.
This is right up my alley for sure. And their sound, even when on this record, it still sounds like they're in a live like venue, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, and I wonder if that's just like a product of like the era and the time. You know what I mean?
Like the technology. It could be that. But
Yeah,
I was thinking of like
technology.
it sounds like they're in a big like recording studio and like there's an echo
Yeah,
kind of. Yeah.
exactly. It's like very like airy in there.
Yeah, and like there's like room between the soundtrack and the
And whoever's
singers.
singing, yeah.
Yeah. Which might have been um just technology at the time, but I think it
Yeah.
contributes to their kind of like their specific sound though. It makes it sound like they're really
Hmm.
singing in an arena or
For
something.
sure.
Because like Dorinda's voice is obviously closer and feels closer, you know?
Yeah. Which I mean, I guess that's like, background versus foreground.
That too, yeah. Yeah, you gotta listen to Overdose of the Holy Ghost. I love it. I want an instrumental of this. This is how I imagine the soundtrack to my life. Like when I'm walking down the street, when I'm
Oh
just like,
God.
bopping down the street. It's like dun da da dun 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 da da. You don't think about funk music when you're walking down the street?
Absolutely not.
That's weird.
I think about like I probably think of more of like a neo soul before I think about that.
Really?
Yeah.
Mm,
But like I'm always listening to neo soul.
I can see that, yeah. Nah, funk is like the music that gets you up and gets you going, you know?
True.
I do feel like I was probably in another lifetime, I was probably like in my 20s and in the 70s.
Facts.
Like I was probably on Soul Train too. I think this is also really good. They had Dorinda do the lead on this one. Like I feel like her voice is more fit for this style, you know?
So is Dorinda the lead singer?
I think for a while she was their lead, and then like Karen started singing more because Karen's got a really strong voice too.
Yeah.
But I think to begin with, it was Dorinda because Dorinda's got more of that kind of I don't know how to even describe her tone. It's kind of like it's sort of jazzy almost,
Yeah.
but it's gritty at the same time. But yeah, that's Overdose of the Holy Ghost. You like that one?
Yeah, I like that one. That was good.
I told you. You were like, what is Overdose of the Holy Ghost? I told you. Solid music. All right. So next
Yeah, that
one.
one's good.
Yes. 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 Definitely add it to your playlist. All right. So next one is Lost Without You, BB and CC Winans. We're jumping ahead a decade or two into like the early 90s. Have you ever heard this song?
No, I haven't.
Well, here's a
I don't.
first.
You know how I get down.
You
I
don't
don't
like
listen
BB and
to most.
CC? I only recently got into them. I'm not gonna lie.
You
They
know.
have more. They're like easy listening. You were just telling me that you like the Who's the Boss theme song. Fun fact.
Yeah, but
Part
I only listen to like instrumental music. I don't listen to anything with lyrics if I'm like listening to that type of style.
Oh. Well, this has like light lyrics. Just are you listening to it now?
Yeah,
Yeah, you can
it's
hear
groovy.
it is groovy. And BB and CC's whole vibe is like groovy. like when I'm going back and listening to their music, especially like late 80s, early 90s, it was very like
Mhm.
low key, that kind of like Anita Baker soft
Yeah,
R&B
that's true.
style. That was really popular in like the late 80s, 90s.
Mhm. That's true.
Yeah. I just like the melody of this. And it's like, anybody no more reaction.
Yeah.
The
It gets
voices are
really
so
very
sweet.
much like there's a time for love and a
Yeah, that's
time
how
for
it
living.
goes.
Yeah.
Take a chance and face the wind. Yes, that's what I
Yeah.
was
Which
to
I love that
definitely.
theme song. So,
Yes.
was I ever going to admit it? No. But here we are.
Yes, Caitlyn finally admitted to me that she liked the Who's the Boss theme song all these years later.
It was quality. But see, Courtney used to run
I knew
out back in the
it.
day. And that's why I could never tell her. No, she used to run out.
I was practically bullied for liking that show.
No, 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 no. I was practically used and abused. Please. Please.
Hmm. Well, anyways, another good thing
I
about
was
this
like
song is
Courtney's TV maid. That's what I was.
what did you say? The TV
I was like, I
maid?
was practically your TV maid.
Whatever. You're like the TV police.
I wouldn't call it a police. I was advocating for those whose voices were not heard frequently.
Yours.
Me and moms.
Mm. Well, okay. Another thing I like about this song is like there's no reference directly to Jesus or God. So
Mm-hmm.
they're just like they're saying like I'm lost without you, but who is you? We don't know.
Yeah, so it's pretty secular.
Yeah, it could be secular. Like it can appeal to really, anyone. Like it's kind of just a poem in some ways,
Yeah, true.
which is probably a marketing move for them. But
Yeah, they probably appeal to a greater audience doing it that way.
yeah, because when I went back and listened, they're kind of like a Yolanda Adams. Like there's not as much reference directly to Jesus or God or you know what I
Yeah,
mean, which would make it gospel specifically. But yeah,
true. Yeah, that's true.
so they really are like crossing over. Mm. Also, BB and Cece's voice is just like they fit. It's like smooth. Their voices like complement each other so well. He's like the
Yeah, I
male
agree.
version of her voice, and she's the female version of his voice.
Seriously. Yeah, no, they have a really good um
Like
like
harmony.
harmonizing
Yeah.
tone voice.
And they have a very they're a little more stylistic to me than Yolanda Adams, but they have very clean voices as well.
Yeah,
Especially Cece Winans. Her voice is like very, very clear to me.
for sure.
Which maybe that was just a thing back in the day, like the late 80s, 90s. Everybody's voice just got like very clear and very like kind of precise sounding. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know. Like tone kind of
Possibly.
that like gritty tone kind of left out,
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm even thinking about like the artists who became popular at that time, secular artists like, the Whitney Houstons or like the who else was really popular during that time? I think it's mainly Whitney Houston. Like their tones just were very clear. That's what was like
Very
selling.
true.
You know what I mean? And then there's like
Mm-hmm.
clean music. Even like Luther Vandross's tone to me is very clear. He has
Very true. Yeah.
and like Anita Baker, she's pretty clear. It doesn't have that same like grit to it like Dorinda's voice does, or like,
Mm-hmm.
or somebody like Al Green's voice, or
Yeah, you're right. That like
like
rasp.
that rasp to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, all right. Let's see. So the next song, that's a really good one, and that's a really good easy listening, like soul type, not soul, sorry, R&B type song.
Mm-hmm.
All honestly, their whole vibe is that, in my opinion.
Yeah, I can see that.
All right. So the next song is one of Caitlyn's picks. You want to?
Let's get into it. Yes. Okay, let's see. So my first pick is just want to praise you. I don't know how to say her name, but Moretta, I think that's how you say it. Brown,
Moret,
uh, Moret,
Brown
baby.
Clark.
See, English is not my cup of tea, clearly. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and hit play. This is just like a classic one. Like I feel like everybody knows this one. It also has that like echo and like forefront background type of
Mm-hmm.
vibe too. But
It's
like
also
you
a live
can't
recording,
not
I
like
think,
just
right?
what do you
Is this
say?
a live recording? This is a live recording, I think, too.
I think it's actually recorded, but like back then it was different, like recording wise. So it's just like a little bob, you know what I mean? A little side to side
Yeah.
motion. Can't go wrong with it.
It's like slightly more up tempo than Lost Without You, what we just heard.
Yeah, yeah. It is a little bit more up tempo. But you still get that like choir type of feel.
Yeah.
Um, very like performative type of
Yeah.
sound.
I also feel like there's a difference between how the choirs start to sound, like in the later, like 90s, early 2000s, too.
Hmm.
Like, to me, the choirs had more, there was more like multiple part harmonies going on, in my opinion,
Yeah,
than
that's
kind of
true.
like some of the older choir songs. It was all like one voice, unison, like raise, everybody singing the same thing, like same time, even though
Hmm.
we have different sections, but they play more around with like, I'm like thinking about the Kirk Franklin song where it's like rain down on me, let it
Yeah,
fall
so
on
like
me.
more like harmonizing.
Yeah, more harmonizing, or the tenors do this, the altos do this, the sopranos do that. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Like
Got it.
versus
I see what you're saying.
before then, it was like, or at least what I've noticed is like it was like everybody's voice needs to blend, needs to become one sound, and that's what we
Hmm.
raise up. You know,
Yeah.
versus really mixing around different parts of the choir. You know,
Hmm. That's a good point.
yeah. And now I feel like people don't even do choirs too much anymore, but
Yeah, they don't.
it's all like I'm a solo artist, I'm singing lead, and that's it. You know?
Facts. Yeah, it's like all about the main star.
Yeah.
But yeah, look, you get like the same little like progression throughout the whole song. They get a little higher pitch. And
Hmm.
yeah, it's just like a good little groove, you know. But I think it also goes in line with kind of like I like the little like the background music,
Yeah.
ambient type of vibe. Like it's kind of like that, but just like a little bit faster pace.
Yeah.
So,
Well, it's got like a bass in there. You hear the
hmm,
bass, like, yeah.
yeah, I love a good bass line. So,
And also her, just her ad libs, which is also
hmm,
a characteristic of gospel. She's
yeah,
singing lead, but to be honest, most of it is her just ad libbing. Like
oh
I
for sure.
like I'm sure she has a couple of lyrics, but the same with the choir, she's repeating the same like chorus. I'm sure she probably
Hmm.
has just like a similar chorus, and what makes it sound different is she's ad libbing as a vocalist.
Exactly. And it's kind of like that when you were saying with like the first song that you were listening to, well, not the first one, but the one by the Clark sisters, how they're just
Mhm.
kind of like professing their like prayer, if you will.
Yeah,
Um,
like
it's
is
that
my
same
making it
kind
rain?
of, yeah, it's the same
Yeah,
kind of thing.
yeah, yeah, definitely that. That's
These are
like
like the
so.
kind of songs that like just like never really wrap up.
I never. Yeah, well, because it's like there's like it's like a praise, and it's like
Hmm.
you really don't put a time limit on
You got to get the
praise.
praise out, you know?
Yeah, like you know, it's like in the Greek chorus, back in like ancient times, they would have like
Hmm.
this like supplications to the gods before they perform. It was like a thank you to the gods, you
Yeah.
know. And I want to say I know it was called the chorus, but I don't know if they actually were singing. And that's where our term the chorus comes from because it's like a unison, uh, like a group of people saying the same thing and offering up a praise, right? So
Hmm.
I think we definitely see that sort of style in gospel music.
Oh, for sure.
It's like a choral thing. It's like multiple voices combined, you know?
I'm here for it though.
Yeah. I mean, I would say that is the cornerstone of gospel is a choir
Oh, yeah.
sound, you know?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, most definitely. And even to the point now where people in secular music will, if they put a chorus sound in there, it's automatically associated with being gospel, like having a
Yeah,
gospel
that's
vibe
true.
or something. If you just hear
Mhm.
multiple voices harmonizing in the same, saying the same, you know, lines, lyrics,
Very true.
and people use that type of sound all the time in music. So
Yeah, they do. It's very popular.
yeah, so and it originated with religious music. So all right, so
Hmm.
your next, you want to do your next song?
Yep.
That was Just Want to Praise You, which I do vibe with that song too. I like that one.
See?
I don't totally disagree. I don't. This next one, I don't know if I like it that much, but that one was fine for
Okay.
me.
This one's just like a little slow bop, you know what I mean? Like it's nothing too rowdy. It's very like simple.
It's kind of like the
So
ballad
it's
for me.
Praise is What I Do by William Murphy. But I feel like this one like gets you there without having to do all that extra stuff. It's a very like simple song. And he kind of does the same thing as before, like the ad libbing. Um, I think he does a really good job of like getting the emotion across, and that's why I like this song.
Yeah,
So that's really why I like this one.
I just heard it so much as a kid. I cannot stand it anymore.
Yeah, they did
Some
sing it
songs
quite a bit
they
at
just drone in
church.
your ear. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Some songs I probably would like if I just didn't hear it 85,000 times at church.
true.
Yeah,
Well, since you don't like this one, we'll like hurry through this one. But this was a really good one. Listen to it. Um,
I mean we can
it's
listen to
just
it.
like a classic. Like I can't believe, huh?
So if you listen to it just because I don't like it, we can discuss it.
Oh well, it's just like it's pretty much like the last song, just a lot slower.
Yeah,
But like I said, I think he does a really good job of like conveying the emotional aspect in this song.
that's true. I think the lyrics are what shines most here, mainly because
Oh
it's so
yeah,
jumpy to hear it. Yeah, and it's sort of
I'd
like
agree with
it's almost like a love song to Jesus.
that.
Uh,
Yeah, that's a good comparison.
yeah, like a lot of gospel songs can really be ballads if you really
Oh yeah, yeah,
like.
yeah.
Yeah,
Agreed.
like this could be a ballad if it was even slower and
Hmm.
had less percussion. I think it could be a ballad pretty
Yeah,
easily.
I think you could pull that off.
Yeah, and maybe if you took out the ad libs and really did just the
Hmm.
lyrics and took out the drums, it would probably be a strong
Yeah,
ballad.
I do think he does like a little bit of extraness for it to be a complete ballad, but it could get there, with some modifications.
Yeah, but I think if you're a gospel singer, you have to. The extra is like almost necessary just
Oh, for
because
sure.
the style of music is so interactive and it's so about
Yeah.
moving people to chorus. Like your intention as a
Hmm.
gospel singer is to get people on their feet, to get them praising, to get them, emoting in really strong ways.
Yeah, that's true.
So I think as a gospel artist, you have to be it's almost just like charisma and sort of
Yeah,
vibe
that's
you
a
have
good way
to
to put it.
have. Yeah, like you got to be the type to get them up and going. And
Hmm.
I would say not all artists really do that. Like even more than
My favorite
secular
part of the
music.
song is like the breakdown at the end. I don't know if you're there yet, but
Wait, let me see. I'm gonna skip ahead a little bit. Or like when the saxophone is this a saxophone?
I don't know. I think it's some type of percussion, but
I might not be there yet, but yeah, I'm listening. I'm trying to see if this is the breakdown that you're talking about.
I love the song. I don't know how you don't like it. It's
It's
good.
probably because I heard it so much as a kid.
Yeah, that's true. That's fair.
Mm,
That's
this is another
very
choir.
accurate. We heard this song a lot.
Yeah.
Like a lot, a lot, a lot.
There was like 3 songs that most churches did in rotation, and like when we were going to church, it was like this and
You think so?
Grateful. Yeah, like that Grateful song. Cannot stand it to this day.
Yeah.
Do
And
not
that
ever.
song that the one lady would sing every first Sunday, like, oh God. Oof.
Yes,
I don't even remember the song, but like if I heard it today, I would just be like cringe.
yes. It's because churches, unfortunately, they got to come up with a whole set list for like every Sunday, right? Which is a
Every
lot.
Sunday, yeah.
And to be honest, it's like it's difficult.
It's
So they just
easier to just
repeat
keep it the
songs.
same.
But you're so bored. Okay, are you in the next song?
Yeah.
Yes, this is a
All
good
right.
one. This
So
is from
the
Ambient.
next song is We're Blessed by Fred Hammond. So Fred Hammond, that's my guy. Okay.
He really is that guy.
I love me some Fred Hammond. My guy knows how to get you hyped. He's kind of like
So,
a lower key Kurt Franklin. Not to compare the two because they're very different, but you know, you get it.
yeah.
You get it.
No, he reminds his
So
voice
we're
reminds me of
listening to, huh?
his voice reminds me of Luther Vandross. Dross.
Yeah. Very, yeah, I can see that. It's very like soulful, sultry. It just
Yeah.
like gets
And
you,
like
every time.
almost sensual in a weird way.
You can't like not move to this song.
Yes.
Period. We're
Spirit,
blessing the spirits.
we cast out every sorrow, sickness, and poverty.
We
I listen
love
to this
good
song
old
all the
Fred.
time. This is so classic.
What'd you say?
So this is so classic. I
Yeah, it
love it.
is. If I was on Jubilee, this would be one of the ones I would be singing, so look out for it. It's coming.
Coming to a Jubilee choir near
You know how
you.
like you do the slow walk out there?
Oh my
Yes.
god. With your robe.
Pretty excited. Pretty excited.
He's also doing a
What
lot of
other
ad.
Fred? What happened?
He's doing a lot of ad libbing as well.
Oh yeah. As he should. He's Fred Hammond.
All right.
I could listen to Fred Hammond all day, honestly. He gets me in the mood.
Yes, and also listen to the other songs that we put on our playlist for Spotify because we have like 60 something
Yeah.
songs on there, and we have
Yeah, there's
more
more
random
of all of
songs.
these.
Yeah, it was kind of hard just choosing even 10 just to talk about because there's so many that I love. Like we didn't even put Mary Mary on here. So many other
Go
people we
listen to it.
put.
It's a bop.
Yeah, try to choose the less obvious ones too, though, because like people, I
Yeah.
feel like a lot of people do know Mary Mary, but
True. Well, I
especially
didn't
early 2000s
choose
kids.
the less obvious.
Yeah, well, with Fred Hammond, yeah, I guess not, but that's
Yeah,
fine.
he's pretty. Everybody, I feel like everybody knows that Fred Hammond.
We don't have any Kirk Franklin either, which was another obvious.
Yeah, that's true. But like, he's so everybody
He's so
knows him.
popular.
So
Everybody knows him. I feel like secular people would know Kirk Franklin.
yeah,
Yeah,
I feel like you can't not know Kurt Franklin. So,
I agree. He's probably one of the biggest gospel artists. Like,
for sure, that's without a doubt.
yeah, and he doesn't even sing. He's just like a band leader.
Right? He just goes up there and like he's like a hype man. He's like a glorified hype
Yeah, he
man.
literally was a hype man. He's like DJ Khaled for gospel.
Yeah, for gospel. You get it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna like listen to this while I'm making dinner.
Seriously.
Blast. Such a groovy song.
It is so groovy. Does he even make music anymore?
Huh?
Does he make music anymore?
I don't think so. I haven't seen anything by him in
Yeah,
a
neither
very
have
long
I.
time. Mm, Maybe, I don't know. You should though. Well, I don't know. I feel like certain people just you did a great contribution
Or you just like leave it alone.
back then. Like
Like
just
Lauren Hill,
don't.
make one album.
Yeah, just let it go.
Midnight hour, it's gonna turn it around. That's my favorite part. Around.
Sweet in the midnight hour.
Hey. And around and around. He was also
That's,
on. I think he was on the Parkers at one point.
huh?
And he used to like bring guest artists on. I think he was on the Parkers episode whenever Kim was like
Was
singing.
he?
Yeah, I think he was. Well, she can sing too.
Hmm.
Kim, the lady who played Kim, Countess Vaughn, she's a good singer as well. But yes, that's Fred Hammond. We're blessed. Love that one. Alrighty,
That's
so
part of the whole song.
right. Okay, are you on to the next one?
Yep. Bring on to the next one. Alrighty.
Good one.
So the next one. What'd you say, Courtney?
I'm saying it's like a testimony song.
Honestly, good stuff. Okay, so the next one. This is my girl. My girl. I love me some Helen Bayer. Which the good thing about Helen is she really understands the secular world. So she was a secular artist first, transitioned to a woman of God. Okay, so
Isn't that always the trajectory?
it's not always the case. Anyway, so we listened to If It Had Not Been for the Lord on My Side. This one right here always get your girl going. Like this right here is on
Yes.
regular repeat in my playlist. Even though it's a gospel song, we love it. It's very groovy. Gives you like a little bit of that bluegrass, Courtney calls it slave music type of vibe.
It is. This is like
It
this
just
is a
sounds like
Jubilee Choir song.
oh, this is a 100% a Jubilee. I will definitely be walking out to this too. Yep. hmm And me and my Jubilee girls. And we will
Jubilee Destiny's
slowly be
Child.
walking
Oh my
back.
god.
Yep.
Jubilee's Child.
Yep. Jubilee's child. That's what we're going to call them. We got Catelyn and the girls. Period. Pretty excited. It's like such an odd desire for life,
It is.
Like I aspire to be old for that particular reason.
This is a good song.
Courtney, you don't act like the song too. You know you love
I do love
Helen.
this song. I'm over here jamming. I love
Okay,
it.
just saying because you understand you like Helen. I know you like Helen, so don't do my girl.
Oh,
Her little breakdown is just so yes.
My favorite part is just like,
this one.
it's like, where would I be? I wanna know. Where would I?
Right.
That's my favorite part. That's my favorite part.
Where she brought that secular in there real quick.
Right?
And this was like a little short, quaint little song too. It's not very long, but it gets the point across. Make sure you listen to the playlist to check this one out. It's a good one. She has another song too. Awesome God, beautiful. I didn't want to add her on here twice because I figured there were some other people that were noteworthy, but Helen, that's my girl.
I haven't heard Awesome God.
And she makes perfect Jubilee choir music. So if you're into Jubilee choirs, there you go.
Well, we know you are.
We give that one definitely a 15 out of 10, period.
Classic.
Yep. Good job. What is Helen up to these days? That's a good question.
Yeah, we should definitely look that up.
Yeah.
But okay, so the last one is I like this song a lot. This is
this one right here. When I tell you this right here, we used to blast this one like this one was not even gospel music back in the day. Okay.
Yes, this is a good one.
But
it's like she doesn't even make reference to Jesus or God in this at all. I don't think.
I think it's like a subtle reference. It's like I think it's like subliminal. It's like she doesn't directly just come out and say it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But so she is, or the artist is Leandria Johnson. I think she was on like some type of gospel show back in the day. Gospel's Best or something like that.
Like she's a really famous. I would say she's pretty much one of the top
Yeah, she's pretty
songs
well known.
right
She's
now.
pretty well known. But New Reasons, boy
Yeah.
oh boy. This one right here make you not think you at the church. You gotta
Bebop
be
vibe.
careful. Got
Oh
to be
yeah.
careful. Because this one's a bop for sure. Like I listen to this regularly too.
Yeah.
The beat is very groovy. Extremely groovy.
It's the shooter
It's
dupes.
very like neo soul to me, you know.
Yeah, it kind of is. What just passing through? Yes.
The thing is, I feel like this song is very underrated. Like not a
It
lot of people
is.
know
It's
about
a
it.
deep cut on her album. Like nobody knows the
Yeah, it
song.
really is, but it's good.
It's solid, yeah. Also, like her vocals are so strong in this too, I think.
Oh yeah. She's a
Yeah.
really good, like strong, like
Like,
also raspy but clean.
yeah. Yes.
She kind of like I wouldn't say yodels, but she like has this like little like I don't. I would compare it to like a gurgle that she does when she sings. It's really cool.
Yeah. It's like it's something that gospel singers do all the time. They kind of like it's kind of like a squawk. It's like something caught in their throat, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah. She just gives me I've just sang in church all my life and I got really, really good.
Facts. Yeah. Seriously.
Yeah.
Yeah, they say like she had a testimony to tell. That's what it
Yeah.
is.
Seriously, for real.
Anyways, if you have never heard this song, please do me a favor and go listen to this. This one
Yeah.
is delicious. Like music to your ears. Beautiful.
Just so good.
Seriously.
And it's a lot of like it's kind of a lot of loud singing, not gonna lie, but I think they make it really work by having the rest of the background music so simple. Like this
Yeah, it's very simple, just like a little snap. Like it's kind of like a live show, but like not.
Yeah.
Um,
It's groovy.
it's good.
I'm thinking I don't think she has a choir. Like she doesn't have background singers. I think they're layering her voice.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
So like her voice is in the background and in the front and in the
Which I
lead.
think that's a good strategic move,
Yeah.
just because it doesn't
They harmonize with
like for
themselves.
consistency. Like her voice is very distinct.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
love it.
This is like a song testing your vocal agility.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. Could you give me reasons to stay? And they have a little organ at the end.
Oh, that's the best part. That little
Yeah.
breakdown. Yes. Jubilee Choir. This is another one. We'll be walking out in that little last part right now. I'm gonna start walking on back. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm telling you, I'm plotting. Ready for the
You
day,
have to reserve your spot at the Jubilee Choir.
honey.
They should have a junior Jubilee Choir.
Any choir people that are listening, if your Jubilee Choir is accepting new additions under the age of 26 or at 26, I'm right here. Been waiting for my calling.
They're literally gonna look at you like you're an infant. They're gonna be like,
They're
"Who
gonna be
let
like,
this
ma'am, honestly.
Ma'am, you see the average age."
I'm gonna be like, age is nothing but a number, Miss Ma'am, okay? It's all about the soul, the spirit,
They'll be
what's
like,
inside.
"Actually, here it matters." That's the whole point of this being a Jubilee.
But does it? Like, ma'am, aren't you 45? Aren't you 45? And like, here's the thing. Life is not guaranteed tomorrow, so you should just put me on the choir today. Period.
They'll let you be the groupie. They'll let you iron the robes.
Oh, I'll be the groupie. That's fine. Maybe they'll let me just like be the support, like the person who walks the people back at the end. Okay, yeah, that's cool.
You can be support
I'm down
staff.
for that.
You can be the Jubilee Choir intern.
Oh God, do not do me like that. At least give me a one lead song. Jeez,
Assistant.
disgusted.
There's ages. There's levels to it. You got to be on the main choir for at least 10 to 15 to get to Jubilee.
Already
Have you
disqualified.
paid your dues?
Yes, I have. I'm old at heart. I really am.
It was like, why did I put this like little girl next to these older people on Jubilee Choir?
Because that's how it should be. It's one of my aspirations. Period.
Seriously. Well, okay. Since Caitlin's waiting her time to get to the Jubilee Choir,
Patiently, 40 more years to go.
40 more years. But yeah, that was our gospel playlist. We hope you enjoyed listening to all the songs. We enjoyed listening to them and commenting on them. That was just a taste, small itty bitty sample of what's actually on our playlist that we made on Spotify. That playlist is like 70, 80 songs long. So you definitely have plenty. If you really have not listened to gospel music, contemporary or traditional gospel music, that's a good place to start for sure. There's plenty of music on there. So, and it'll be linked below in the description box for all the podcast episodes. So, for all the streaming platforms, I meant. Yeah, so
thanks for tuning in, guys.
Yeah, thanks for listening, and we hope to see you in the next one. Take care and praise the Lord. Am I right?
Yes. We'll shout. Praise break. Doom, 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 doom. Good times, good times.
All right, bye everybody.
Bye.